suddenly you have your business manager that got restricted or your business manager that got hacked. You have to understand how to make good creatives, how to communicate with your clients.
It's not about the market, it's about your marketing.
Exactly. Now you don't need like before to advertise, to find the best target.
Hey everyone, Alex Fedotoff here, and I'm here today with Elias. He's e-commerce entrepreneur from France, who's now more on the service side, helping e-commerce entrepreneurs scale their businesses to the next level. And I want to ask you, you've seen a lot of e-commerce entrepreneurs growing their businesses, some crazy numbers. What are the main mistakes that you see e-commerce entrepreneurs making that can basically just kill their businesses overnight?
So basically, when you start e-commerce, you're more focusing on marketing, you're more focusing on finding good product, what kind of business model you want to build, and so on. And sometimes you forgot to focus on network, and especially good network with a partner with who you work. For example, if you work with Facebook ads, if you run ads on Facebook ads and you just have your own assets, and let's say, for example, your scale and you have a very good profit and so on, and suddenly you have your business manager that got restricted or your business manager that got hacked, for example, you can lose everything. So it's very important to have a very good network and also to have good partner with who you can protect all your assets.
Yeah. Interesting. And so let's say, you start e-commerce business, or maybe you already have e-commerce business, you want to get it to, say you do 100K a month, right? And you want to get it to 1 million a month. Probably a lot of people watching, are at that level. So what are the 3 most critical steps that you would take in order to make sure that, you get to those numbers?
If you scale, you will have problems. Scaling means problems. And
this is an important distinction, right? Because, to go, like you said, I think it's such an important just to realize it and not being scared of this. People think, I want to go from 100K a month to 1 million a month, right?
Yeah.
Probably, you'll make some mistakes along the way. There will be some problems. You might have some issues potentially with your products, with your ads, with your ads. It's just something that people have to keep in mind. So the bigger the business is, usually the bigger the problems are, but also you have more resources to overcome those problems.
Yeah.
And just an important distinction for people listening.
Yeah. Because for example, if you scale and okay, you did a great job on marketing, you have your product market fit, amazing. But what about the suppliers? What about the bank? What about the payment processor? What about Facebook? And if you scale, all of your partners will be stressed. What will happen? Is it a scam? Is it money laundering? So you will have to understand that if your bank, for example, hold all your money, you cannot pay your suppliers, you cannot deliver to your clients, they will tell you that you're a scammer, and you can even finish in I will not say in jail, but you can have problems with your government. So it's so important to understand that if you focus only on how to make sales and how to have clients, you might face other problems that you don't expect. That's why it's so important to have a very good relationship with a big network in all of this stuff like suppliers and so on. And I think it's a common mistake of people who go suddenly and then they're not ready for this kind of scaling. I always suggest to go better than to scale, but sometimes scaling comes and you cannot control it. And that's why it's important to work and to have people able to support you on that, even in Facebook, because if you scale too drastically, Facebook can block your ad account because they don't really like when you
it's so exciting. You see traction in your product. Oh, it's converting, it's profitable. Let's just ramp it up and scale very fast. Yeah. And that's usually when the problems start to just come in. And on the kind of not expanding your network thing, we just had that event over the last few days, and thank you so much for coming and joining us.
You're welcome.
I think it's just going to events. It doesn't have to be our event, other events like this where you can network with other people that have different solutions, that have been where you want to be, right? Just networking with those people. It's usually we just sit behind the laptop and just like usually introverts, like for the most part, like get into e-commerce because like you're sitting in the basement, like you're growing e-commerce business, but then you have to get yourself out there and network with other people. Like I've met so many great entrepreneurs over the last few days that like, oh, this is my first event, and they're already successful. They got to a certain level, but now like they're getting exposed. Wow, I didn't know this even exists. I didn't even know like this service exists. I didn't even know like people can do these kind of numbers like in my niche, right? It just opens your mind and just shows you what's possible. And like now you're expanding network. Let's say next time you have a problem, boom, you're messaging this person, like, hey, I have this problem. How would you overcome this? Like, and that person might have already had that experience, might help you with that, like within like few minutes. And you might not even know that solution exists.
Exactly. And that's why I like your events, because I can say I invest on your events, and I like to be in a place where I feel poor. See, I like to be in a place where I feel that, okay, it's not enough. And basically you think that you have the good vision, but you cannot know what you don't know. And people can bring to you things that you never imagined before, new perspectives, and you say, oh, it's amazing, right? And for example, I just met some people, and they were like, okay, I face this problem, and I explained them exactly which kind of partners I can work with, what kind of solutions exist in the market, and they were just like, wow, oh, you serious?
Yes.
Yeah, and then you just take contact, and we were able now to help them. And it's in the opposite as well, because I'm so fascinated about the speakers that I met, and also the people that I met, and it's always challenging to me to see what they do, and I'm just like, okay, I will come back to my place with a lot of ideas and with a lot of more ambitious.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm more ambitious, and that's why for me, being alone, it's big mistake, because being alone, you're not able to ask for help. You're not able to add more perspective, more ads, ideas on your business, and you cannot go like you can go if you're surrounded by the good people.
Yeah, and you might be doing like, $10-20 million a year, and then you go to events and like, wow, you can do $100 million a year.
Yeah.
You can do 200, 300.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, and it's possible. And you're talking to the person, and they're like normal people. They're the same as you, right? They just have a bigger vision, and they maybe they've been in a space for a longer time, or maybe they've been in a space for the same time as you, but they just have a bigger vision. They're exposed to a different kind of information. Exactly. They know a different kind of solution that exists. Yeah. They're like, okay, wow. It just opens your mind to what's possible. And it's like once entrepreneurs, like ambitious entrepreneurs, understand that it's possible, they find a way to make it happen.
Exactly. And also, I like to speak to people that they begin, because when you let's say you have a certain level in business, you have comfort, you have your habits, and what's interesting of people who start business is, okay, they struggle, so they looking for how to fix some problems, as they can find things that you don't know. And that's why I like to stay connected with people who start, and with the young as well. I see myself as someone young, but I know like people who, they are like 18, they do like millions.
Yes.
And in a way that you cannot just imagine, and I like to learn from them too. So it's interesting to stay humble, and that's why I love to make network. I travel a lot. I like to meet people. And I love to also to share business, to share ideas and so on. And I learn a lot of that.
100%. So if you could go back in time and, share like maybe like one piece of advice for like for example, like e-commerce entrepreneur, dropshipper who's like starting to scale, right? Or maybe the advice you would give to yourself, right? Like when you were just like starting to get momentum in your business, like what would that advice be?
Basically, people focus more, and it's what I did, on how to use Facebook, right? How to use Facebook. Do I have to do CBO, not CBO, ABO, and so on? I just remember that we were the first in France that imported CBO as a strategy. But I would say focusing more on understanding the human brain, because Facebook improves their service and their tools every year. Now you don't need like before to advertise, to find the best target. Even broad, you can have a lot of sales. However, the brains remain, and you have to understand how to make good creatives, how to communicate with your clients, and how to be good on that, because few people do that. But if you're able to have a good skill on this, you will able to make the difference, and you will increase the chance to have more success.
So with all of the other platforms that are popping up, TikTok is like, as a platform, as a social network, just growing extremely fast. Like, do you think there's like a need for diversification, like with other platforms, or can you just like stick to Facebook and just master that?
Basically, I would say to focus on one platform first to understand how it works. Facebook work very well, and I will say better than before. First, because they improve their tools, and secondly, because they shut down all the business that are not professional. So you have less competition, but you have the good competition. And I would say after that, you can add diversification. And Facebook likes diversification, because Facebook, when you put your pixel on your website and they see no traffic, they will say, okay, it's a startup, so it's a risky business. They like to have, they like to see that other people buy to your website from other channels, because for them it's like, okay, it's a business, they have historics, they have clients, okay, it's a mature business. So they will able to lower your CPM if they see that.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And basically when we talk with people who want to scale, for example, we just like check the data, and like every business, it's like organism. You have a day that you make more sales, you have months that you make more sales, and basically every days, for example, that let's say it's Thursday or Sunday, they make more sales. We organize like a big campaign of influencer on TikTok, on email this day, like that they can scale more in Facebook, and they have lower CPM, so they can. Even the CPM can be stable in the scaling, because as you know, more you scale, more the CPM get higher. You can stabilize your CPM or have it lower than before. So Facebook liked when you have a lot of traffic. People think that there is competition. No, they like it from Google and other platforms.
That's interesting. You work with many clients, right? You see what's working like in different markets. Yeah. What are the kind of like most promising markets where you see, like, let's say in Europe, like, are there any particular markets where you see like a lot of potential, like, I don't know, Germany or France or any other ones?
I would say it's pretty stable in my side. The market that works the best or it's of course United States, France, Germany, Great Britain, also Sweden and Norway. But if you, for example, can adapt on some markets, I was surprised on Poland. Poland works nice. But
Poland,
is
it cash on delivery market?
It will depend. I think you can sell directly, yeah. But it's not like Italy, you need cash on delivery.
So you can sell in Poland without cash on delivery.
Yeah. And basically, but you need to understand how it works. Usually people, they sell in their own country, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And on that note, in your own country, so for example, let's say you're an entrepreneur from Sweden.
Yeah.
And I remember I worked with one entrepreneur from Sweden, and we started working together, and he started selling in the US market because he thought, like, okay, this is a market with the most potential, and I want to sell in that market. And he tried and he spent like tens of thousands of dollars just breaking even or losing money. And we had a conversation, and I'm like, okay, you have to, maybe you should try selling in Sweden. You understand the language, you understand the mentality, you understand what products can work there. It's less competition, it's lower CPMs. And he started doing that. Within the next year, he made like $2.5 million. Like, he just went from there to eight figures, managed to sell his business for $2.5 million, started another project that he scaled to multiple eight figures. I think this is such a crucial like understanding that like if you understand the mentality, if you understand the language in your local market. I know even some people that are selling in let's say South America. We have another entrepreneur that we work with. He's from Argentina and he's selling in South America markets, like Chile, Colombia, Mexico. He's doing $500,000 a month in sales. Great profit margins, like 35-40% profit margins. Cash on delivery, right? So it's kind of like it's more complicated from logistical standpoint, but he makes a lot of profit. And those markets are less competition, which means, his creatives, his advertising strategy, his landing pages, his website, they don't have to be that sophisticated. And he can make a lot of money in that market. And then if at some point he wants to get into US market or like more competitive markets, he already has the skill set, he already has the cash, right? So he can figure it out, because initially it might take some time to find, the winning strategy when it comes to your ads, when it comes to your product pages and landing pages conversion. But you get that initial momentum. You're also more confident in your skills. You might already have some team members. Like, you're in a much better position to go into more competitive markets. But to start with, you can absolutely crush in your local markets.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah.
More you understand the market, more you'll be able to make profits. And also, for example, when sometimes want to switch, for example, from France or from United States to, I don't want to say Spain, for example, I always tell them that you will have to adapt, and you will have to understand that in this case, focus on data more than profit, because you will not make profit like before. You will have to understand this market. You'll have to understand how they think, how they buy. For example, in Germany, PayPal is so important.
Yeah.
Right? In France, it's important, but less. Mm-hmm. Right? So you just have to, if you want to advertise on Germany, focus on having good relationship with PayPal, for example. See, people think only on marketing, but you have to understand that sometimes it's not only the client, it's also about how you can add some infrastructure and partner that will let you have a better position in the market. So it's always case per case.
Mm-hmm. Right? And then also understanding, let's say if you want to get into another market, understanding the mentality of people in that market. Like in Germany, what what I was told is that is like you can have like very like aggressive promises, or like, let's say 70% off, because people are very skeptical. But 20-30% off, people are buying. So you have to really understand the market. And in order to do that, you have to have a conversation with someone selling, let's say, in German market. And that's another, value add, let's say going to events or networking and connecting with people who are already selling that market, because you can pick up their brain in like 15, 20 minutes. You can learn things that will just save you months of time trying to make something work. It's like, German market doesn't work. No, it's not, it doesn't work. There are people making millions of dollars per month in that market. It just, probably you don't understand the mentality of that market. Your ads don't resonate. If you purely like translating your ads from US to German, like you're using some external apps, but you don't understand the mentality. You don't have the right payment processors in place. Like your conversion will be low, even though you might have even like the right product, but you might be thinking, it's about market. It's not about the market, it's about your marketing.
Exactly. Look, let's take example, for example, in politics. In politics in France, we don't really care about family. But in the United States, when you see every president, they show the family. The family is so important. And I think in the United States, if you don't have a family, you will struggle to get elected.
Wow.
You see, it's one example. And you have to understand, you can say, okay, it's just Western countries, they are in the majority white people, but they don't have the same values. Every country has its own value, their own habits, their own history, and that's why you need to understand, make like immersion. I suggest sometimes to people to go to these countries. Just go, just make friends there, and you will understand their mentality.
Wow, I love it. So how can people connect with you if people want to learn about your services? What do you do for?
Basically, I have Instagram.
Awesome. Yeah, it's great connecting in person. Sometimes we are connected online or we see each other online, but then you meet in person. Like connect in person, I think it's totally different experience. Yeah. Great chatting with you, and you guys please connect with Elias, and thank you for watching.
Thank you so much.